You flip the breaker, plug something in, and nothing happens. No lights, no outlets, just silence. And that's the moment people realize wiring a tiny house isn't just a few wires, it's the backbone of your entire setup. You do it right, and everything works seamlessly. And you do it wrong, in the best case, you're troubleshooting for days. Worst case, you built a fire hazard into your walls. And here's how to wire a tiny house the right way: clean, safe, and scalable. Start with the big decisions. Are you wiring for grid power, off grid, or even both? This changes everything. Grid tied setups use standard residential practices: 120 volt or 120 to 240 volt systems with breaker panels. Off grid setups resolve around batteries, inverters, and often 12 volt or 24 volt circuit layered alongside with 120 volt. Hybrid systems combine both, letting you plug in when available but still running independently. Decide this first because it determines your panel, your wire size, and your layout. Next, think in zones, not wires. The tiny houses are small, but treating them like one open electric blob is a mistake. Break your space into functional zones: the kitchen, the living area, the sleeping loft, bathrooms, exterior. Each zone should have its own circuit or at least be logically grouped. This makes troubleshooting easier and prevents overloads. The kitchen, especially, deserves attention. Anything with heating elements or motors pull serious power. And let's talk about your electric panel. This is where your command center is. Even in a tiny house, don't cheap out here. A small 6 to 12 breaker panel is typical. If you're grid tied, you'll run a main feed into this panel from shore power or a utility hookup. If you're off grid, your inverter feeds this panel instead. Label everything clearly. Future you will thank you when something trips at 2 a.m. And here's another story too that I want you to learn from. Someone wired their entire tiny house on one circuit to keep it simple. Everything worked until they ran a toaster and a space heater at the same time. The breaker trips constantly, wires they heat up, and the frustration builds, and they end up rewiring half the house. Simplicity is good, but oversimplifying electrical systems always backfires. And wire gauge matters more than people think too. Use 14 gauge wire for 15 amp circuits and 12 gauge wire for 20 amp circuits. Kitchens, bathrooms, and and outlets likely to handle heavier loads should be 20 amp with 12 gauge wire. Undersized wire heats up under load, and heat is your enemy. Always match your breaker size to your wire gauge, not the other way around. And outlets, place more than you think you need. And in tiny house, extension cords become dangerous fast because space is very tight. Plan outlets every 4 to 6 feet along walls where possible. Install GFCI outlets in kitchens, bathrooms, anywhere near water. And these shut off power instantly if they detect a fault, which can literally save your life. Lighting circuits should be separate from outlet circuits if possible. This way, if a breaker trips from a heavy appliance, you're not left in the dark. LED lightings is the obvious choice: low power draw, um, minimum heat, and long lifespan. And you can run an entire tiny house on very little lighting power if you design it right. Right, routing wires is where things get physical too. Drill through studs, run wires horizontally through the center, and not too close to edges where screws or nails might hit them later. And use protective plates where needed. Secure wires every few feet with staples, but don't crush them. Keep runs neat. Messy wiring isn't just ugly, it's harder to troubleshoot and more prone to mistakes. If you're building it on a trailer, grounding becomes critical too. Your system needs a proper ground path. And for grid setups, this typically comes through your shore power connection. And for off grid, you may need a grounding rod driven into the ground or the earth. With stationary improper grounding can lead to shock or equipment damage or even worse. And let's talk about inverters for the off grid setups. This is what converts your battery power into usable AC electricity. Pure sine wave inverters are the gold standard here, and they safely run sensitive electronics like your laptop or appliances. And the size of your inverter based on your peak load, not your average load. And if your microwave and coffee maker might run at the same time, your inverter needs to handle the combined surge. And let's here's another story I want you to learn from too. Someone I know installed a cheap modified sine wave inverter to save money. The lights worked fine, but their laptop charger overheated and their fridge made a weird buzzing noise constantly. They replaced it within a month. And it sounds the extra upfront. Spend the extra upfront. It's cheaper than replacing gear the later. And the battery replacement matters too. Keep batteries ventilated and accessible. Lithium batteries are popular now because they're lighter, faster, and they last longer, and they can discharge deeper than lead acid, but they still need proper management systems. Never just hook up a battery and hope for the best. Use a battery management system or buy batteries with one of them built in. And back to the wiring. Label both ends of every wire. It sounds tedious, but it turns into a nightmare into a simple puzzle later. When something stops working, you'll know exactly where that wire goes without even guessing. And use junction boxes anytime you split or connect wires. Never bury connections inside walls without access. Every connection should be inside a box with a cover. This isn't just best practice, it's code for a reason. Loose or hidden connections are one of the most common causes of electrical fires. Then, speaking of connections, tighten everything properly. Loose connections create resistance, and resistance creates heat, and heat leads to failure. Take your time with every screw terminal and wire nut. If you're tying into grid power, you'll likely use a 30 amp RV style plug or a 50 amp one. If you need more capacity, a 30 amp setup is common for tiny houses, and it gives you a solid amount of power without overcomplicating things. And this feeds your panel just like a small home. Now, let's layer in a low voltage system. Many tiny house builders run 12-volt circuits for things like the lights, the fans, or USB outlets. And this is especially useful for off grid setups because it avoids inverter losses. And you'll essentially have two systems, a low voltage DC system and a standard AC system. And keep them clearly separate and labeled to avoid confusion. Ventilation and heat sources also impact your wiring. Electrical heaters draw a ton of power if you plan to use one, and give it a dedicated circuit. Better yet, consider alternatives like propane or diesel heaters to reduce the electrical load. Your wiring system becomes more simpler when you're not trying to power heat. Inspection mindset too is important. Even if no one is inspecting your building, act like they are. Follow your electrical codes as closely as possible. They exist because someone somewhere learned a hard lesson. Using proper boxes, correct wire sizes, GFCI protection, and safe routing isn't overkill. It's the baseline. Testing comes last, but it's critical. Before closing up walls, test every circuit. Use a multimeter to check the voltage and confirm outlets are wired correctly, and ensure breakers trip as expected. Flip everything on. Simulate real use. This is your chance to catch mistakes while everything is still accessible. And here's one more short story, too, I want you to learn from. Someone skipped a full testing to save time, and after finishing the interior, they discovered one outlet wired backwards and a lighting circuit that only worked intermittently. Fixing it meant cutting into finished walls, and testing early would have saved days of work. And here's a clean mental checklist to wrap it all together. Decide your power type first. Design circuits by zone. Choose the right panel and match the wire gauge to the breaker. Install plenty of outlets, separate lighting, route wires cleanly, and ground properly. Use quality components, label everything, and test before closing the walls. Wiring a tiny house isn't about complexity, it's about intention. And every wire has a purpose, every circuit has a limit. And when you respect that, you end up with a system that feels invisible because it just works. And that's the goal. Flip the switch, and everything comes to life exactly the way you plan. Thanks for watching. Check out this video to the right, and also please like and subscribe. I would love to have you aboard on this journey here. And without your subscription, the channel can't continue. And I need that most definitely right now as we grow this channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you on the next one.